this video, I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for what to consider after you graduate as you're making that transition and bridging that gap between training and application as a professional in this industry. Let's start out with tip number 1. You don't need everything figured out right now. You just finished nonstop training for 4 years, maybe 5. It took me 5 years in undergrad to graduate because I took so many extra classes. I probably could have had multiple minors. And many of my clients that I work with after they graduate college, they do end up having multiple minors in dance and other parts of their career that maybe aren't even part of musical theater. So you spent a very, very long portion of your career training already with deadlines and assignments and grades. And a lot of that now is going to completely shift. This is something that is really different for everybody. Some folks that I work with and some folks of you that watch these videos and either email me or comment below or DM me on Instagram, there's no right or wrong path of you having to immediately move to New York or you having to immediately hit the ground running and start auditioning because you've spent all this money and all this time training and now you have to immediately do it. You do not have to have your career, what it's going to look like, figured out. And to be honest with you, you are not going to know what your career is going to look like. You may have a vision of it, but you don't need to have the answers to what is going to come in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. This is not a sprint. It's a long-term career that you're going to cultivate now that you're not in school anymore. And it's okay to say, I don't know exactly how this career is going to function. And to be honest with you, that is really the reality of how our career functions. When I graduated with my BM in musical theater right out of undergrad, I did go straight to New York because it was something that I wanted to do and experience because I was coming from a very, very small state. I grew up in Oklahoma. I went to undergrad in Oklahoma, and I needed that feeling of moving to New York, 2 suitcases into a sublet of a friend, and I needed to just go. And I had auditions set up as soon as I even went. But we're living in a very different time now, and you might want to take a bit of a break and say, I just want to submit. I can submit online, and you can see what comes up. And then if you get an audition in the city and you want to go into New York, you don't have to have all of those road steps figured out right now. And I know a lot of times in college classes, because I taught college for literally almost a decade, we have those business classes where they ask you and they say to you, hey, let's make a career plan. Where do you see your career in 5 years? Or what do you see your career look like in 10 years? It's really hard for us to do that. Our industry is constantly shifting and changing, and you are going to shift and change. You might be in your early 20s when you graduate college. I have students that graduate from their undergrad or their grad program, and they're much, much older. When I went to grad school, I was in a very different spot than I was in undergrad. So it is completely okay to take it as it comes. Tip number 2 is something a little bit more proactive that I would say to do as soon as you graduate, which is to update your materials immediately. And what I mean by that is this is your time to really polish your materials based on how you see yourself entering into the industry right now. You may have an agent because you did a showcase and got an offer. You may not. You may not have done a showcase. Your program may not have had an agent showcase or representation of you to get rep, and that is okay. It's totally okay. What often happens in college is we take the idea of the work we're going to do based on what we were cast in undergrad, which is very, very different than the professional world. Because sometimes you may get cast in the older roles because you happen to look older than most people in your class. And when you get into the professional world, what you're doing right now, take a moment and look at your materials and ask yourself, I am entering the world as a professional. I'm going to get paid or at least get a stipend of some kind, even if you do community theater or local regional theater. And what roles are you realistically going to play right now in your career? And this is your time to say, let me think for myself. Let me ask myself and let go of the idea of what you were told or what people expected of you in college, because that's a little bit of a different bubble than the real world. So immediately update your materials based on how you see yourself entering into the industry now, what roles you want to play, where you want to be located, what type of work you want to be doing. And if you need help with that, I've got so many videos on about auditions and submissions. I have a full series I'll link in the description box below about my audition online bootcamp series that can walk you through that step by step. Whether you have a job this summer or not, as you're entering into the professional world, we're really looking at audition season being really the beginning of January is hot and heavy. January to really May at this point in time right now. So take this time to really sit down and get your materials together. Headshot, resume, files, media, clips, all your casting profiles. And again, if you need help with that, I have videos on all of those things that I can walk you through it step by step. But now is your time to really get those materials, polish them, and update them so you are ready when submissions come in, when auditions come in, and you don't have to worry about having those materials ready or being uncomfortable to not go to an audition like an open call because you don't have something ready. Tip number 3 for graduating with your musical theater degree and training program for your next chapter is don't wait to get paid to perform. So many of you are going to graduate and you're not going to book work immediately. And it might happen and be a longer not booking time than you expected. And that's just really how the industry functions. All we can do is focus on what we can control. And so my best tip for you in this moment and this topic is to perform wherever you can. Anytime you can get a callback, whether it's an EcoCast callback or request for tapes, an in-person callback, if you can go to an open call or an EPA or an ECC or a local regional theater audition, wherever you are, any chance that you have to perform, whether it's in person or on tape or on camera, do it. Whether that means having your own voice lessons every single day to keep that going, whether that means learning new sides on your own, even if you don't get a callback of any kind, taking dance classes, collaborating with people, anything that you can do to keep that momentum going. It's kind of like thinking that we're an athlete, because we are athletes, depending on also if you're more of a dancer, you're more of a singer, you're more of an actress, you're more of an actor, you're more of a musician, whatever your thing may be. Keep doing what you do. That's the biggest challenge that you're going to have after graduating college, is having the discipline to keep training. Training never ends. And I can tell you from personal experience, as I've gotten farther and farther into my career, when I went back to grad school, it was like training for years solid that I really didn't get after I graduated from undergrad. And that was a good almost decade in between undergrad and graduate school for me. So I went and performed quite a lot and then went to grad school. That was heavy. It was performance-based training and then also pedagogy training for coaching people and teaching as a professor. But the biggest benefit that I've had now after being out of grad school for, again, another decade is continuing to train in the ways that I feel constantly best on my game. So as soon as you graduate college, you still you're going to have years, probably at least I would say in my experience, 3 to 5 years where that training still comes natural to you. But when we get 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years out of training in college settings, where it's baked into our day and our life, it's very hard to find the time, the energy, and the finances to put into training. So if you can, get that back into your daily routine, even if it's on your own, even if you can't budget for a lesson. My best suggestion would be to kind of keep up some type of routine, but do not wait to perform for a paycheck. Keep doing it so that muscle keeps getting strengthened and used every single day, or at least every week, as much as you possibly can. Tip number 4 that I have for you after graduating college, and this is a really, really, really challenging one mentally and emotionally for a lot of my clients, treat this career like a business. This is a creative career. Absolutely, yes. I've done this like literally since I was a kid, but since I was 18 and out of high school and on my own as an adult, I've always treated this as a career. All of my income does not come from performing. Some of my income comes from these YouTube videos, a lot of majority of it right now, because I'm not in a show as I'm recording this video, comes from career coaching and teaching and working with my clients in many different aspects of their career. I have a website. I get money off my blogs. I have money off of many other aspects that I've baked in over the decades. And the best advice I can give you is don't rely on your performing jobs to constantly fund your life. You are going to have multiple support jobs. Start building those out, or at least brainstorming them. But treat this career, this artistic career, as a business. And that means tracking your auditions, tracking your finances, being honest about what you can afford for training, what's going to move the needle and what's not going to move the needle, where you need to live, if you need to be in New York City, if that's not going to serve you and you need to stay where you are and you need to submit online and see what pops up. You need to treat this as a business, and your business is going to look different than mine. It's going to look different than everybody else's you went to college with. And the worst mistake that you can make is comparing yourself to other people in your program, and then other people in this industry that have different paths, that have different talents and technique and unique aspects of what they bring to the table. And I know that's so very extremely hard, is to feel like this business, right, is you. But it really does function that way. Your headshots, your resume, your tapes, how you present material, how you present and perceive a character and a role, it's going to be judged, because that is our job. So treat it like a business and understand that it's going to ebb and flow. But if you can stay in that middle grounds financially, emotionally, mentally, get a support system that's going to help you navigate this when you really need someone to talk to that gets it, that's your best bet to treating it like a business, but without it overtaking you mentally and emotionally. And if you want to learn the 50 ways that I have been able to make money, some of them are so wild. Some of them are really interesting. I did a whole free download and wrote it all out. There's all kinds of links and tutorials and tips and tricks. I'll link that in the description box below. You can download it totally for free. I hope that's maybe helpful and beneficial to give you some ideas and just inspiration. Tip number 5 is something that we talk about, but after you're graduating college, it feels very alone in this world, especially with everything shifting to the online aspect of our career as musical theater performers. But it is to find a support system outside of your school. When you go to college for 4, 5, I don't know, maybe even 10 years, it's baked in. You go to college every day, you go to class, you go to your community, you go to your green room, you go to the lobby, wherever it may be that you all hang out. And you have someone there you can talk to that gets it, that gets you. Once you graduate, it's very hard to find that. Everyone gets busy. Everyone is worried about their own career, worried about their own finances. Everything just really starts to shift and turn. So my best advice to you is to find a support system that's going to benefit you, and only you can make that decision. Whether it's therapy, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's a partner, whether it's a coach or a mentor, whatever is going to work best for you. And this is a lot of the work that I do right now, which is partially career coaching, but it kind of goes into life coaching as well. I have so many clients that leave coaching calls with me and they're like, thank you for the actor therapy, even though I'm not a therapist. And I'm very obviously upfront about that. Find someone that gets you, that you're able to go in and have a conversation with and say, this is what's happening, feeling very vulnerable, don't know what to do. Someone that you can bounce ideas off of. And that doesn't have to be someone that you pay if that's not something that you're interested in. It can be a friend, it can be a colleague, it can be a mentor, it can be, a parent that has a different aspect. But find a support system that's going to hit the points that you need to feel grounded in this career, because our career is unreliable, it's unrelenting. It's never going to go the way that you kind of think it is. But if you're willing to ride that wave and to be flexible and pivot and to know that I have this training, I have this degree, I'm going to see where it takes me, then the only mistake that you can make is not trying, is not moving ahead, is not taking one step forward, because there is no definition of success in this industry, right? Broadway does not define success in this industry. It is however you feel like success looks for you, to bring you joy, to bring you happiness, to bring you fulfillment in whatever way is best for you in this moment after graduating. Because this is just the beginning. You have a very long career ahead of you. Your life may change, the direction may change, your focus may change, your interests may change, but this is the first pivot where now you can leave college and now you could say, let me see what can happen. Let me see what the possibilities are in the way that I see fit, that is successful and brings me joy and fulfillment every single day.